Welcome to Follow Your Joy podcast, where intuition is the doorway to your elevated creativity, more joy, and prosperity. I'm your host, Marla Diane, and I've been living an intuitive life for decades as a creative. That translates to transforming creative entrepreneurs' lives for over 27 years through two businesses as a business strategist and a life designer. And prior to that, an entertainment publicist and talent manager. Follow Your Joy is an entrepreneurial resource for creatives sharing their challenge to victory stories through the lens of listening to their intuition. It's time to make joy your inner GPS for life and business decisions rather than lean on your logic and reason first. You'll not only be following what is most authentic for you, but you will live the beautiful life meant just for you. Want to learn how to access, trust, or up-level your intuition? Join me in the conversation to find out how. Well, hello everyone. It is, let's see, my gosh, spring, almost summer. Wow. I don't know where the time has gone, as we always say, but I am grateful we're here. And to give you some context about my beautiful guest, Chris Sobolev, is I want to start with this, kind of a little bit of backstory, yeah? So for those of you who've been in my world a while, and those of you that are new, you'll learn this today, is that I love all things Italian. Love all things Italian. And why? Well, I'm not Italian by heritage, at least in this lifetime. Definitely, I believe I've had other lifetimes in Italy. Because when I go there, and I've been to Italy 4 times in the last 7 years, it feels really familiar to me. Even the first time I went, which I'll explain how that happened, even the first time when I went to beautiful, oh my gosh, gorgeous Florence, Italy, it was so moving and emotionally moving for me. The first day I got there, actually first evening, I mean, it was almost like I dropped into another world, which obviously I did, but you know what I mean. It's like, this all feels like I belong here, right? So really amazing experience back then. The people, the location, the streets, the architecture, the food, just everything about Italy, right? So what started my love of Italy was way back in 1996 when I started my very first business, which was entertainment PR. And I was working with celebrities and visual performing artists, and I named it Capri Public Relations because of, back then, my fascination and my love of Italy, right? And I was so enamored with, someday I'm going to go to the Amalfi Coast and I'm going to go to the Isle of Capri. So I put it out there. I'm going to name my business after that as part of the intention, right? And at the same time, Frances Mays, right, wrote and released her memoir, Under the Tuscan Sun, literally that same year that I launched my business. And I was so fascinated with her story and her lifestyle, I said, I want that life. Because she was living between, then it was San Francisco, but then she and her husband moved to North Carolina. But they were living between USA and Italy, obviously in Cortona with their Brahmasali villa. And I just said, I'm a writer. She's a writer. I live in Italy. She lives in Italy. Look at that lifestyle. Look at what she's doing. That's the life I want. How do I get there? Right? And that, again, was back in 1996. That's when the dream was planted. Right? So let's fast forward 2017. Long time. It's almost, 20 years? 2017, after 9 years in my now coaching business, which is now 17 years, I was in huge burnout. burnout in the way that I was running my business, not the coaching, but how I was running my business. And I hired my then coach for a full day, well, three-quarter day session to help me recover my dreams and make money with joy, because I was in complete, like I said, burnout. What came out of that incredible 4 to 5 hour session in her home in Santa Barbara was she pulled out of me, guess what? The dream of going to Italy. She says, why haven't you honored that? I said, well, we've just talked about it over the last 4 hours, what my mindset was, and that I wasn't allowing myself to receive and give myself that gift. So what she did was say, you're going to Florence, Italy for a month. And I went, okay, great. How do we do that? And her specialty was just that, helping women build a laptop lifestyle to be able to coach anywhere in the world and travel and have that jet set lifestyle. That's why I hired her. And that's exactly what she had me do. 45 days later, I was on the plane to Rome and on a train to Florence, and it changed my entire life. I was there for a full month. Very first time I've ever been to Italy, very first time I ever spent that long of time anywhere. And I brought my laptop, brought my work, and I lived and worked and had the time of my life. And so that became my, now, as you can tell, my signature story of transformation. And that's exactly what happened. From the inside out, it was a changed woman. My heart reopened. I fell back in love with life. I fell even more in love with the lifestyle of being an Italian, brought that back home so that I could integrate that literally into my life, how the Italians operate, how they think. In other words, their lifestyle is, yes, they all have a fabulous work ethic, but they don't make it a badge of honor like we do here in the United States. And that hit really hard with me as I went, oh my God, what a different culture. And I knew it would be, because it's all about gathering and connection and art and food and wine and enjoying life, right? And I wanted that. And so that's what I did. And I not only changed my perspective and how I operated, but I also then changed my entire brand and my business when I got back. So I did a photo shoot while I was in Florence, knowing that I was going to be changing my business. And so remember, what got me there was burnout. And so I came back, and within a couple months had a new brand, new photos, new website. I literally stripped away everything that didn't bring me joy in my business and only did what brought me joy and scaled down. And it was fabulous. So here we have then my commitment to now going back to Italy, which I then did. I've gone back 3 more times. I went back the following year, 2018. I went back in 2022, finally did the Amalfi Coast. And then last year, 2024, I went back to Tuscany for a beautiful culinary adventure that took a couple people with and had a blast. So I've kept the commitment. I've changed who I am. And as a result of all of this, last year, I'm on Facebook, and I'm trying to remember how I found you, Chris. It might have been in someone that recommended. They said, go to all about Italy Facebook page. And I went, okay, great. And so I go into it, got accepted. And what I found was, unlike some other Facebook groups, it felt really friendly, really fun. The ambiance, the people, the way that the curator, Chris, was running her page, I thought, man, this feels fabulous. So what I did was, now I'm coming to where we are today, is I chose to, I went, she'd be a great guest, right, on my podcast. Remember, this is June of last year, 2024. So I introduced myself, went on to direct message, And I said, I'd love to interview you on my podcast. Told her a little bit about my background and so forth. Anyway, she was a yes, absolutely. We got on. I interviewed her last year. There's another episode prior to this one. And so I had her on, and we actually became fast friends, absolutely loved each other. And then one thing led to another in our conversation, and she realized, boy, I could probably use your coaching. And so guess what? Of course, everyone, now today, almost a year later, and we're still coaching. And she will share with you what's happened, kind of the before and the after. And it's a fabulous story, everybody, which is why I'm bringing her back, is I want you to really get a feel for what is possible in your life, even against the most challenging situations. Yeah. So let me bring on my wonderful guest and friend and client, Chris Sobolev.
Well, thank you, Marla. I cannot say how much I appreciate you and how much we've gone through together. Looking at hearing your story and then looking at what we've done and what we've overcome and how we've streamlined things down and got rid of the things we didn't like that didn't bring us joy, much the same as you did. And it's a completely different place that I find myself in than when you found me.
Yeah, things are a little bumpy at
Yeah,
that point
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they were quite a challenge. Let's
Oh
just
my
say
gosh.
that.
That's for sure. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's have you literally kind of take us back to June of 2024, and tell us a little bit of what's happened in the transformation that has gone on.
Well, we were in a very challenging situation because as a YouTube, I don't want to say influencer, I like to say enlightener because
Oh,
I'm not an influencer.
I
I
like
like to enlighten people. But as we were growing, you know that there's going to be negative people pushing their way toward you.
yeah.
That's what was happening to quite a huge extent. And I hit some situations that I really needed Marla's help with because having worked with celebrities in the past, she knew how I could walk the line between being really, really big and not attracting negative attention, which was really a challenge for me. I could not figure out how to do it. And we worked together. We did quite a lot of talking and a lot of soul searching and everything else, and really came up with, exactly how we're going to do that. So, now
Mhm.
we have things in place where we are attracting ideal clients.
Let's
Uh,
tell them
you know,
what
mhm.
we didn't mention super savvy travelers. So please
Oh,
give a little bit of context. What's your business online? What is your celebrityhood in that?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Okay. Yes. Super Savvy Travelers. It started out as a travel agency. And then, of course, the pandemic hit and that went into a cocked hat. However, my husband and I have been renovating, buying and selling and renovating properties in Italy for many years.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, maybe people might want to know how to buy a house in Italy and renovate it. And we had, electricians and architects and everything lined up. And so we've pivoted, and boy, oh boy, we had no idea how many people really did want to do that.
Yeah.
So that became our business. We brought people over. We boomed our little hill town here in Calabria.
Mm.
And again, that's where the notoriety comes in and the attention and everything else. Knowing what I know now, I would have done it a little more circumspectly, but whatever. We just went all in, and it was pretty cool, the types of effects that we could have on that. So yeah, our business now is we attract people from the channel. We give you a lot of information on the channel, a lot of free golden information. And then when you're ready, you can come contact us and we can take you through the process from start to finish.
Yeah.
So the scary part of going in and trying to reinvent the wheel and find the context, and all of those things that are difficult, especially if you're not living here, we take care of that for you.
Yeah, it's Italian home ownership, everybody. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But yes, what Pete and Chris do is they've taken what essentially what they've done, and now they're helping and have been for the last what 2, 3 years.
No, no, it's been since Italy opened after the pandemic, so maybe 4 years.
Okay, good. So 2021. But yes, is that they are the experts, the go-to experts. That if you have an interest, and there are 3 different regions in which they specialize in, it's not the entire country of Italy. And Chris will share that with you. But if you have that interest, that they're the go-to experts for that from start to finish, and they have a whole system. You do not want to try to do this on your own, nor do you want to sit for months on end doing research. So anyway, Super Savvy Travelers, and then I'll turn it back to you, Chris. Super Savvy Travelers is the literally channel to go to for, and you're going to see, Chris's bright smile, and she's also very vulnerable. When things don't go well, she's going to share it. When things, are not happening the way they need to, she's going to share it. This is not just a come and buy property in Italy type of channel. She's very genuine. She lets you know how to go about doing things, what to watch out for. She takes you through properties. So in other words, go to the channel, Super Savvy Travelers, obviously link in the show notes. But that's what we're talking about. That's where she was when I met her.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I couldn't be happier now because coming full circle and really getting a good perspective on what occurred with us, that all is on the channel. You can see all of that there if you want to. It showed me that it was sort of an inevitable reaction to our growth. And all I needed to do was know how to manage it. And that's where Marla came in and helped so much was here's how you manage it. And the most important part that I'm kind of realizing right now is I'm not afraid of those things happening in the future because I know how to manage them. I've been through them. I know how to do it. So that's been hugely valuable.
Yeah, that I mean, bless your heart. We definitely, we went through a lot of the personal development, the mindset, right? And then once we kind of set you up with how to handle and also deal with the public, right? Doing the appropriate PR in your personal brand and how to show up and so forth. Then we worked on your sales system. Yeah. And set you up on how to really have a systematic qualifying sales system rather than which you were doing okay with, but it was not only were you not pricing yourself appropriately, this was then the money coaching everybody, which
Right.
many of you know that's one of my specialties is your relationship with money and your worth and your value. But it was also, you didn't have a sales system. It was very kind of by the seat of your pants.
It was very much,
Yeah.
yes.
So share a little bit about that and the condition of that and then moving into what you're using now.
Okay. Yeah, we were just kind of, I mean, it was a system where it kind of worked when we were small, and did it really even work? Let's be honest. Did it even really work when we were small? No, it did not, because we weren't selecting our ideal clients. We were selecting everybody, and it was there were some difficult people to deal with,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, that's just the state of the world right now. There
Yeah.
are some difficult people, and I'd rather not have them come over. And to be honest with you, some people I'm doing a disservice if I bring them over here and they
Right.
live here. It's not going to work for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I'm very, very upfront and direct about. Look, I have concerns that this is going to work for you. I put that on the channel many times. Here are the personalities I would not recommend to come over and buy a place. Come over
Yeah.
and visit, get a vacation home. Great. Don't move here.
Yeah.
It's going to drive you crazy.
Right.
So yeah, it choosing the right people to work with is a massive life change. Instead of dreading your day, you get up and you can't wait to get started.
Right. Yeah. And that's part of, and I'll drop a link obviously in the show notes if you fit certain requirements to fill out a form to even have an intro call with Chris. But yes, that's part of what we set up, what I set up with you was how to define who is that, if you will, ideal client that is ready 3 to 6 months out to purchase a home versus
Right.
those that are looking at it 2 years down the road or not even having a time frame. So that's important. But first and foremost, your own self-worth and value was key to your growth.
Yes.
Right? So talk a little
Mhm.
bit about that.
Well, when you are working with the people that are not your ideal client, they come with their money stories. We went over the whole money story thing. And when you hear that money story too many times, it starts to leak into your consciousness
Mm.
and kind of becomes a little bit your money story, I found, unless you really know how the mechanics and the dynamics of that work. So, looking at that and the money stories that I dealt with, and then realizing, no, there are clients out there that really do value super good, knowledgeable, dedicated, responsive people, and actually really value you enough to constantly validate you. And it's very interesting because since we've been using the sales system, I've been pulling in people like that, and it's just a joy. My goal here is always to make you happy. That's why I'm here. If I don't make you happy, I'm going to quit, honestly.
Yeah,
And there are some people you can't make happy, but the ideal clients that come in and they go, wow, you guys are the best. You're just so great. And we love you. And thank you so much. That's what we work for. We want you happy.
yeah,
And like you said, you want to win. And when I win, you're happy.
that's right. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It's really an important piece, everyone, is that when you're offering a service like Chris's or like mine, and whatever your business happens to be, is that you want to qualify the people to partner with you so you can win.
Right.
That's how I choose the people that I coach is I want to know I can win with you. Right? Are you that level of, if you will, an achiever? Is your mindset in the right place? Is your money story in the right place? Your relationship with money in the right place? Are you open to doing things differently than how you think you needs to be done? So the point is, yes, is that I want you choosing, which is what you and Pete have learned to do beautifully, how to choose those people that you know you can win with and help them achieve what they want.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to speak a little bit more about the money stuff, which is this is a look, we say it's the biggest story on the planet, and everyone's got one, a money story.
Mhm.
And who we bring, everyone, who we bring to our, if you will, our space, and you have the choice to really examine it before you choose to have someone as a client, unless you're like myself, a money coach. And that is, you got to look at truly what are your beliefs? How do you think? How do you feel? How do you act around money? It's
Mhm.
just the relationship with money, which, look, by the way, before I learned this and got certified in this back in 2011, 14 years ago, I had no idea. What do you mean a relationship with money? I mean, it didn't even make sense to me, but I was super excited to learn it because I knew I needed to change my money story, right?
Mhm.
So the point is, it starts with you. And I know I witnessed this like so well with you and the transformation over a few months of you coming from your money story that you were brought up with. And this is how it goes, everyone, right?
Mhm.
Comes from our imprint, generational. It's no fault of anyone's, but it's generational. We don't even know it's there until
Right.
someone like an expert, looks at it, examines it with you and going, well, that was never your belief to begin with. That was someone else's.
Mhm.
So the point is, Chris, is that you were courageous enough to look at what was holding you back from charging, if you will, pricing yourself appropriately
Hmm.
for your expertise, right? And not giving away your time, which was one of your challenges. It's
Hmm.
giving away your time and feeling resentful, right?
Hmm.
This is what we do. It's okay, everyone. You're not alone in this. And to be able to then upgrade your relationship with money, your worth, your value,
Right.
right? And then what happens is, and this is what I say in the sales process, we attract who we are. We attract who we are. And
Mhm.
so when we have upgraded our wealth consciousness, when we've upgraded our value, our worth, which is what you did, is that, and then put it together with a qualifying sales system, now you've got a beautiful recipe for bringing in clients that match your wealth consciousness,
Mhm.
that are ready and willing and a joy to work with.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And then, the more you work with your ideal clients, the more you work with those people, the more you own your knowledge and your expertise and your skill. And the more feel like raising your prices, you're like, well, wow, okay, maybe I'm worth more now. But it's a very interesting thing. We talked about the money speedometer,
Yeah.
where your expectation is, by golly, that's what you hit.
Right.
When you're used to always having this amount of money, that's what you hit. Why not put that up and get
Yeah.
more in the door? And it's really interesting. Of course you're going to produce more. Of course you're going to make more money and do all the things that you do to make more money. But it starts with that. It starts with the raising that number and making that your new normal reality. So
That's,
that was also very good.
yeah. Good for bringing that up. So, what Chris is referring to is I coach. It's called the money speedometer, and what I essentially do is give you a formula to identify your current money speedometer or your current money ceiling,
Mhm.
where your subconscious is at, and how much you typically earn every month unknowingly. And so when you look at, let's say, a year's worth of your income, your revenues, I should say, and you basically choose the 5 highest months and you divide that by 5, you're going to see that's your money speedometer currently for us as a baseline to now go, okay, let's move it up. Let's move it
Yeah.
from 10 to 20,000 a month. Let's move it
Hmm.
from 15 to 25,000 a month, whatever it happens to be. And
Hmm.
that's what Chris is talking about, is having a new, in other words, we're breaking through your money glass ceiling
Yes.
and giving you a system and a tracking system how to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
glad you're using it. Yes.
I know. And all these little pieces that we sort of got and put together like Legos. They're like click, click, click Legos,
Yeah.
right? And
That's
they
right.
all work so beautifully together to create this wonderful life.
Yeah.
And I was looking before we started, I was looking at how I feel now versus how I felt when you kind of scraped me off the pavement and put me back in my chair
Oh,
and whatnot. And it's just night and day, my head is high. I'm not afraid of anything. Things are actually really, really going well. I have a great future. It's really exciting.
yeah.
And a lot of things that we're going to do to really, we like moving and grooving. We like making big splashes. We like changing environments, and we have some pretty great opportunities to do that.
Yeah. In fact, I love when I first got to know you, I love the mission. Remember, we talked about that in one of your first coaching sessions. Is
Mhm.
I love the mission of what you stand for, which is about up leveling communities.
Yeah.
Right? You want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's so funny because when we got here, I just love we've been working with this architect and his family's just all in the village, and I love them so much. I just really got a huge admiration and love for all of those guys. I would do anything for them.
Mm.
And so I was like, well, I know what they would like is more work. The Calabrians love a job. if you give them a job, you've given them the best gift in the world. And I went, oh, I could do this, you know? So we started the YouTube channel. We started creating communities on social media, and they all came over all at once in a wave. And boy, oh boy, I mean, they're still doing the renovations from that, 2, 3 years ago, and getting caught up on all of the renovations that came in. So, what that did was just created a huge boom in a village that was, let's be honest, a lot of these hill towns, these historic centers in Italy are in danger of dying out
Yeah.
because nobody wants to live there.
Yeah.
The older people die, the communities go away. I mean, and it's a sin because there's such a beautiful characteristic point in history, and we can't lose them. That Italy can't afford to keep renovating homes in the historic center. We need people to do that, and that's what we did in Santa Domenica.
Yeah.
We were able to do that. We had, I think, close to 35 abandoned houses be sold to our guys that then came in and renovated them. And now we have a community there. So it's really, that's something that we stumbled across the winning formula, and we can do it anywhere. And in
Mhm.
fact, we're going to do it again. And we're going to
Mhm.
do it in Torrita di Siena.
Yes, yes. Let's start talking about that. Um,
Yeah.
so before we move into what's, now, what's the vision for the rest of 2025 and how you segued right
Yeah.
into what you're doing now. I do want to just slightly mention, and please add to this. Look, it's kind of a truth of life. There's a breakdown before there's a breakthrough.
Hmm.
And the breakdown with Chris was, as she mentioned, when I was with you in the beginning, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of drama
Hmm.
from certain individuals that really put you to the test.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Look, we all know in social media and being out there in the public online, and you say it beautifully, that when success happens, there are people that don't want you to be successful.
That's
And
right.
it's the truth of life. It's what I see with a lot of, YouTubers. I see it with a lot of, if you will, influencers. You call them, you're an enlightener, which I love. But
Mhm.
when you're a public figure, is the point, I hear this all the time, not only from other clients, but when I watch YouTube and they address it, every one of the YouTube channels that I frequent, they have all done an episode on these people
Yeah.
that are wackadoodles. That's all
Yeah.
I can say. They're just wackadoodles. Bless
They
you.
are.
It's like, wow, that's your lot in life. How sad.
Mhm.
So yes, that's what was going on with Chris. Not to go into too much detail, but it was pretty severe.
It was very, very nasty. It was, basically narcissistic gang stalking,
Yeah, yeah,
and stalking everywhere I was on social media, stalking me in life, attacking me in life, the whole thing. Um, it since has been handled, in the town,
yeah.
which thank you, our mayor,
Yes,
Alfredo Gazy,
yeah,
went in and put a stop to it, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure, because it's
And
been very quiet.
it wasn't fast and easy, by the way, everyone. What Chris is
No.
talking about, this did not happen overnight.
Yeah, we had to put in some very, very intense handlings
Yeah,
and do some things that a lot of people might not think about doing. Things like doing background investigations on the people that were attacking us. Boy, that's enlightening. You
yeah.
want to talk about being enlightened. uh, somebody comes out of the blue and attacking you and seems crazy, start doing some criminal background investigations and woohoo, we
Yeah.
found some stuff. But we then use that to calm them down, to knock it off, or we're going to make this known. And it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
there were
yeah, it was nasty. I mean,
it
it
was
was
nasty.
really,
Yeah.
yeah. But, the happy thing is things got so bad that I took up painting. And we can talk about that now
Yeah,
or
let's do that. And that's exactly where I was headed,
okay.
about the breakdown to breakthrough. Because look, no one wishes any, obviously, negative things on anyone, but what goes on in our own, I call it soul journey,
Hmm.
is that however it needs to look, and I have my stuff that I've had to deal with and hurdles I've had to, to handle and break through on, and still working on some, is that it's part of how we find, if you will, our joy.
Right.
And unfortunately, you had to go through that to move you to what your intuition was telling you, because you're an artist. You were in
Hmm.
music for quite a long time. You taught music, you played music.
Hmm.
You're an artist from your, soul, if you will.
Hmm.
And that's what led you to your soulless. In other words, you needed to find, and this is what I witnessed, over the months, and keeping the vibe high, keeping the vision. It's like, okay, let's keep the vision where you're headed and what we, et cetera. And that was you listening to your intuition to literally find solace, find peace, find,
Hmm.
it kind of was, art therapy, if you will, to be able
Absolutely.
to get you through those months that were very challenging for you. So share what happened, because this is a beautiful on the other side of the transformation story, which I love to have everyone hear.
Well, on top of all of that, I fell and broke my ankle pretty severely. So I was on my back for about 6 months. And I'm like, ugh, okay, well, I always wanted to learn to paint, always did. I knew in my heart of hearts that if I could just get the fundamentals and really learn them well and have somebody walk me through that, I knew I could do it, you
Yeah.
know? And I remember the first drawing video I did. I started at Milan Art Institute Mastery Program, which is brilliant, by the way.
Mm.
And the first video I did was a drawing video. It said how to draw anything in 3 simple steps. And I picked up my pencil and I drew a bird. And you know how you draw a bird and like one wing is up near its head, the
Yeah.
other's down by its butt. And it never looks like a bird. It looks like, a Picasso bird or something. But I drew a bird and it was all in proportion. And I'm looking at it now. I turned it into a painting. But after that, I was like, holy cow, like I can really do this. And so I just threw myself into the study and it was intense. It is an intense course.
Yeah.
She takes you through oil painting, all of the masters, how they oil painted, all of these things, so that when you get done with that part of it, you really know how to paint.
Yeah.
And one of the things I did was there was one point where some of the attacks got really intense, and I was really having a hard time with it. And I wanted to just go blast people, right, on social media. And of course, I can't do that, right? I can't say everything I want. So I remember that day I said, I'm going to draw a tiger. And I painted this canvas, and it was
Yeah.
black and red and yellow and just, like angry.
Yeah.
And then I found the nastiest, most vicious tiger I could, like a snarling, nasty tiger is going to rip your lungs out. And I
Mm.
painted it. And whenever I felt bad, I just went in and I painted more. And I kept painting and painting and painting. And after a while, I stood back and I had a really good communication that I knew somebody could look at it and go, whoa, Chris was not happy that day. But since I felt better, I said, you know what? I'm going to put the little doves in the corner, kind of soften it. I'm
Mhm.
going to put the little spiritual sphere that I like to put, the source of life energy, and make it a communication. And I still have it. That's still one of my favorite paintings
Yeah.
because it was a breakthrough. And because it told me that, look, when somebody cuts out your tongue, right? When they attack you so bad and you know it, you're going to make it worse by coming out and saying whatever, you can paint.
Mm.
And that was massive. And
Mm.
I've been doing it ever since in different ways. It's not always angry tigers. It's beautiful women. I love painting beautiful women. Gosh, I love painting beautiful women
Yeah.
and animals and all different emotional tones. My panther, which I named Blood Moon, he's going to go out and kill something. Okay, that's great. Being an artist, you have to express all of the tones on the tone scale, all of the emotional ranges. It's not just one, super happy, sweet thing. You have to be able to express all of them to really be a true artist, I think.
Yes, absolutely. So, what transpired then? What's happened with that, um, you know, building of your art, as in who you are as an artist? You're sitting in your studio, day in to day out, and now what does it look like today?
Oh, well, okay. So because Marla talked sense into us, we're actually moving our base of operations up to Tuscany. And Tuscany is great because it's very artsy. Not to say Calabria is not. Every region in Italy has its own unique character and beauty. I love Calabria. I will always love Calabria and all the people here. I love Puglia and I love Tuscany. But in this one little hill town in Tuscany, we found a place where right underneath it, oddly, there is a retail space for rent, which will be my new gallery. So I can sit down there and paint all day, and people come into the gallery, they can have a coffee. We'll still be doing the property stuff, but it's a change and it's a new life and it's a calmer, more pleasant and wonderful life.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know why it took me so long to learn to paint because I'm so happy when I do it. It just is magnificent.
Uh, Yay. And that's just music to my heart and my ears, right?
Yeah.
Is I love the fact that you've got it now an art business. So not only are you going to be, opening up the studio and gallery, right next to where you're going to be living in that beautiful Tuscany, region, but you
Mhm.
have an art business. In fact, everyone, it's almost ready.
Yeah.
She's got a website with all of her art. In fact, you can actually see um, Chris is very active on Facebook and Instagram.
Mhm.
She posts every day what she's painting, so you can get a real feel for her art. But you've actually turned, like I said, the challenge into a gift,
Yes. Yes.
and it's now.
It's so funny because I've always known I'm the type of person that has to force my own hand.
Mm.
And I know I've done that in the past, which is so dumb. I mean, why would you do that, right? Why wouldn't you just go, hey, I should be a painter, you know? But no, I had to have things get so bad that I could just go, well, then I'm going to paint. It's so weird. I always do that. And you wonder how much of that did I pull in, because of that, to make me make this decision. Like you said, the pain and then the breakthrough. And, did I pull in the pain so I could have this magnificent breakthrough? I don't know. I don't even care. The happy thing,
I know. It's like, doesn't matter. The result is awesome.
it is. I could go without the broken ankle. That could have just
Yeah. Yeah.
happened. That would have been great.
Yeah. For sure.
But the reward out the other side is so, so wonderful. I mean, think about it. You're in your art studio in Tuscany painting for a living. How great is
Oh
that?
my God. And
Yeah.
helping people get their Italian home dream.
Right, right. Which we can do in our sleep. That's why I can paint now, because I can
Yeah.
do that other stuff in my sleep. I just take a week off and spend it with our guys, run around with you guys, hold your hand through everything, make sure everything goes smoothly,
Beautiful.
and then go back and paint.
It's so,
It's
I
wonderful.
mean, literally, I'm sure some of you that are listening right now are going, wow, now that's a life.
Mhm.
Helping people acquire, right, their Italian home dream ownership and paint
Yeah.
to your art. I mean, come on, in one of the most beautiful countries in the world.
Yeah. And in addition, I am so privileged to work with these architects who are, I wish you could see their work. Marla, you're going to come here one day and I'm going to show you what Antonello did in Calabria
Okay.
and what Lorella is doing in Tuscany. Like, I get to work with these people. I get to go through houses with them and go, what would you do here?
Yeah.
You know, why can't we take this wall out? What's going on behind that wall?
Yeah.
And understanding the building models. And it is a form of art because you're transforming a space. You're
Yeah.
bringing it back to life.
That's
And
right.
you're transforming a community and somebody else's life. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really amazing. No,
Mm,
and what you've done is incredible.
mm.
Ah, good. So overall, I mean, even though you've definitely shared it, what are you grateful for?
Oh, I'm grateful for, well, for you. I must say I'm grateful for you. Very grateful for you and for Pete and for all the people that I love all over Italy. I mean, I've found people that I love in Puglia, in Tuscany, here in Calabria, so many. Um, I have a life that other people just dream of.
That's right.
I don't even know how I stumbled into it, but I seem to always stumble into the right thing at the right time
Mm,
to create a dream life.
yeah.
And the idea of painting and, having people come into my gallery, put the coffee on, sit down, have a cup of coffee, look at the art. Let's talk about your property. Let's talk about your dreams,
Yeah.
and then, and then go from there. To me, it's just ideal. I can't even imagine how it happened or what I did to get here, but it's really, really great.
Well, we just shared how you got there. So
Yeah,
it
exactly.
was
Exactly.
quite a journey. And
Yeah.
share a little bit about the obviously the wonderful participation and support by your husband Pete and what he
Oh,
does behind the scenes, everybody. He's the
oh,
glue.
he has been killing it. Marley, he found this app that takes one video and turns it into a bazillion shorts. So
Ah,
he's just been, I don't know if you've seen all the TikTok, all of the Instagram, all of it, Facebook Reels. I mean, that's his game now, and he's a brilliant man.
I love
So
it.
that's what he does. He's constantly doing videos. He's really up in his game on that. He's really taken a lot of heat off of me so I can paint. And
Yes.
that right there is so great because, if I weren't a good painter, he'd be like, "Yeah, we should focus over here on these videos, right?" But he's not. He's going, "No, you should focus on painting." So I'm like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, good." Thank
That's
you.
pure leverage, everyone. That's when you
Yeah.
have someone that can take the load off of your plate. And
Hmm.
not only that, they're supporting you to keep your focus where it needs to be, right? And
Yeah.
we're talking about that currently right now with the two of you is how to delegate more, get more
Hmm.
things off of his plate, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
that you both can be enjoying, even more being in Italy. But yeah, I mean, Pete's really the power, if you will, and the glue behind
Oh.
what you're doing for sure, right?
I could not do it without him. And it wouldn't nearly be as fun without him.
Oh,
He's the best. What can I say? I
yeah,
mean, he's absolutely the best.
yeah. He's really a wonderful human being
Hmm.
and a delight in my experience to work with.
Yeah.
So imagine, look, you guys have been married, what, 35 years?
I don't even know how many years. I
It's at
mean,
least three
we got
decades,
married.
right?
We got married in '89, so
Okay. Yeah, add that.
long time.
A
Long
long
time.
time.
I think it's way past aluminum and silver. I
Yeah.
think we're into some heavy metals at this point.
God, I love it.
Yeah, me
Oh my
too.
gosh. Well,
Yeah.
we could definitely keep going on and on, but I think we've been able to share a pretty good, synopsis of what's happened. Kind of okay. It was, and by the way, I have to emphasize, it's only been 10 months.
I know. It's
Everything,
crazy.
right? Everything we've just shared about your changes and transformation, and it's only 10 months. We're not talking 3 years.
No.
It's not
Yeah.
even a year yet. And so I really, really want to acknowledge you. I mean, talk about ideal client. I'll take 10 more of you
Oh,
because,
thanks.
because I can win with you. I mean, you're so courageous and you're willing to do whatever it takes. You're willing to take direction. And because of that, we've had a beautiful and continue to have this beautiful partnership,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm just
Yeah.
so, so proud of you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have been really, really impressed with you too, and all the tools that you give us, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. These are all things we never would have thought of on our own, obviously, because we weren't doing it. So it's been quite fantastic, and we're looking forward to, continued success in our new area and growing bigger and better and
Right.
sharing that with you. It's going to be lovely.
I love it. I absolutely love, being a part of this journey with the two of you. I really, really love it.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah. Okay, so let's finish this up with sharing. So those of you, now that we've kind of gotten, whetted your appetite and giving you some true behind the scenes of what it's like to have Italian home ownership. So Chris, let's talk about where anyone that's listening can get in touch with you and kind of start the process of exploration and due diligence.
Well, the first thing we like to do is if you go to our website, www.supersavvytravelers.com, there's a contact form, and you can fill out the contact form. And we want to make sure that, that we can service you the best we can. So a lot of that is to find out, what you're looking for, what you need and want, where you are in the process, that kind of thing, so that we're sure that if we, take you on as a client or you hire us or however you want to look at it, that the partnership happens, that we have the absolute most chance of winning. And so that's actually really, really important. Now, we work only in the areas of Puglia, in and around Bari. We work in Calabria, which is the Riviera di Cedri, which is northern Calabria down to Paola about. And we work up in Tuscany, in and around Montepulciano, but also in Florence, because that's where Lorella is located. So
Nice.
she does Florence, she does Pistoia, she does Montepulciano, Pienza,
Mm,
all those beautiful
beautiful. Oh my
places.
God, lovely. Yeah.
I know, just talking about them, I'm like, God, that's some of the most beautiful areas in the
Yeah.
world. And I'm so excited because I told her, I said, look, why don't we show some apartments that you can renovate in Florence? I think that's going to be exciting as well.
Yeah.
So those are the areas we're looking at right now, and that's where we have our networks and everything set up so that when you come and join us, we jump right into the network. Everything's found, everything's vetted, everything's laid out. It's all ready to go.
Yeah. And as well, one of the important requirements is that you're ready to purchase a property in 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
In other words, you're not 2 years out, you're not 3 years out, or you don't even know. So I
Hmm.
think these are the two right qualifiers, if you will, to even fill out the form. And I'm giving you a link in the show notes. It takes you directly to the page that explains kind of what we've been talking about, and then a link to the actual form itself. But yes, is please be sure if you have this interest or oh my God, I just was thinking of this and this is exactly what I need. I was looking for an expert. Well, here we are. But yes, is that the two qualifiers is you need to be ready within 3 to 6 months. And that those are the three, four areas, if you will, but really three areas that they specialize in that you're actually looking for. Look, I don't know too many people who don't want to find a place in Tuscany,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Tuscan region, especially Montepulciano
Oh, I
and
love it so much.
Florence. Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So very good. Yes. And like I said, in fact, just today, the day of our recording, you put out on your channel, right? The two beautiful clients that you're working with, and they're what, just ready to, I think that their offer was accepted.
Yeah, they came over, and there's a certain tax card thing number you have to get,
Yeah.
which can be challenging, but of course we have the inside skinny. So I drove them down there, we got it. That's what they're holding up in the video is their codice fiscale, which is absolutely vital if you're going to buy a house. And that can be a stopping point for a lot of people. They don't know how to get it. So we help with that. So they came over. We just hit the ground running, looking at all these properties, translating. I brought the architect in to evaluate the property before they bought it because we don't like surprises. And they put in an offer, and the negotiation process was so funny. It was like, okay, we'll only do this. Okay, well, she'll only settle for that. Okay, but we're going to only do this, and then she'll only settle for that, and it just kept going. And I was just laughing so hard because it was they both wanted to win the game, right? It wasn't about the 500 euros. It was about winning the game. And finally, the client said, "Okay, we give. We'll we'll do that." And
Yeah.
it was just really, really fun.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good. I love it.
me
Okay.
too.
Wonderful. So yes, and then as I mentioned earlier, is your soon to be the art website will be ready. But for now, go to Chris's Facebook and Instagram, which again I'll have the links in the show notes for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any last words before we say goodbye?
No, it's just really nice talking to you. I missed you.
I love it. All right. So very good. Thank you for being back and telling the after story. It's always kind of cool to do a before and after and get
Mhm.
the reality what goes on in someone's life. At least in my world, obviously, as a coach, is that okay, great. Now where do they stand, right? What's
Right,
happened? And you
right.
are just a beautiful living example, right, of being intentional, being courageous, knowing your vision, knowing what you really desire, and you are living the dream life.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really am.
So, everyone interested in a dream life and in Italy, you can chat to both of us.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, till next episode, everyone, have a blessed day, have a blessed week, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. Hey, thanks for listening. You can find more entrepreneurial stories and resources at marladiane.com. And while you're there, enjoy my free downloads to uplevel your business and your life. And Instagram. It's my favorite place to hang out. Let's connect there. If you received inspiration from the episode, I'd sure appreciate a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Until next episode, take care.